For anyone who isn't familiar with the concept, a recursive translation is when something is taken from one language, translated to at least one more, and then converted back to the source language. The results can be quite interesting. Anyway, let's go. Legacy. After Laurel's death, Digger and Thea Arrow leave, while Oliver takes to the streets alone to protect Star City residents like Arrow. When Felicity drives him out of the shelter, Oliver is forced to fight a city that is already full of criminals and a host of young and inexperienced police officers. After watching Oliver try to balance his work as mayor and patron of Star City, Felicity asks him to form a new team, but Oliver refuses. However, when a new deadly criminal appears, Tobias Church, Oliver realizes that a new group of superheroes could be the best for the city. At the same time, the memory takes us to Russia, where Oliver met the Muslim Brotherhood. Hiring. The new members Oliver has appointed to the Arrow team are Curtis, Wild Dog, and Evelyn Sharp. Unfortunately, for some of them, Green Arrow's training methods have proved overwhelming. Meanwhile, Oliver continues to enter the Brotherhood in his memoirs. Confidence issues. Now that Oliver has a new team, they are ready to take to the streets, but Oliver feels he is not ready yet. A stray wild dog disobeyed Arrow's orders and pursued the new drug dealer Derek Sampson, who was terrorizing Star City. Proving to be stronger than the wild dogs, Arrow must fight Sampson to save his teammates. Repented. Oliver and Lily team up to complete a secret Diggle mission. Felicity discovers this plan, resists it, and decides to stay. When Tobias Church launches a deadly attack on the city, Felicity must decide if it wants to send recruits without the Green Arrow. Human goals. When Tobias Church caught and tortured one of Oliver's recruits, Oliver was forced to seek help from his old friend Christopher Chance, the human victim. At the same time that Detective Malan joined the Support Coordination Unit, Felicity's people faced a struggle. So start. When Prometheus desperately started killing people, Oliver looked for connections between the victims. Felicity and Curtis discovered that the victim has a mysterious relationship with Oliver's past, and this new secret could disrupt the work of his new team. Meanwhile, Thea and Lance are in a good mood, and Felicity is thinking of telling Malone the truth about her job. Volunteer police officer. When the bodies of the two criminals are thrown at the SCPD, Oliver realizes that there is a new ranger in Star City. The group is divided over whether to ban people who help keep the city safe. Digger is upset by his new situation. Thea fights for Lance, and Lansstein reveals a shocking secret. Meanwhile, in a flashback, Oliver finally sat down to meet Konstantin Koval. It invades! Oliver woke up and found that he had never been involved in the Queen's strategy. Robert and Fate are still alive. Laurel is his favorite bride, and their wedding is imminent. Everything seemed perfect, but Oliver began to notice small flaws that made him question this new reality. Meanwhile, Felicity and the new recruits face new threats with the help of the Flash and Supergirl. What we left. After Prometheus attacks Cortez, Oliver realizes that Prometheus knows all the secret identities of the Green Arrow team and plans to respond one by one. Felicity and Detective Malone find evidence linking Prometheus to Oliver's past. Who are you? Worried that Prometheus was right and that he was really a murderer in his heart, Oliver tried to quench all hope and found Laurel Lance's miraculous return. However, Felicity, still shocked by the murder of Detective Malone, is determined to take revenge. She wants to stop Prometheus at all costs. In prison, John fought for his life. Second chance. Oliver gets help from an amazing source in his quest to defeat Koval Talia Al Ghul. However, when she revealed what she wanted from him in return, Oliver was not sure if he could accept her help. Felicity tried to hack the NSA to help free Diggle, but when it became aware of its internet activity, it encountered an unknown enemy. Curtis, meanwhile, spoke to the team about Tina Boland, a vigil he discovered on the internet that was raging across the country. Brothers. The mission transports Oliver, Felicity, and the team to Russia, where they meet Oliver's old friend, Anatoly. At the same time, Lance, who had just completed his recovery, returned to City Hall, ready to return to work. However, when Susan asked to meet Lance to discuss his addiction problem, he hesitated and Renee was responsible for staying on track. Ghost Pistol! The traumatic attack on the town hall makes Reen recall painful memories from her family. The flashbacks show how Reen from a family man became a hero called Wild Dog. At the same time, Oliver must confront the criminals behind the attack and realize that the best way is to play Queen Mayor and not Arrow. The volume in the Arrow nest increased. Sinner. China White, Cupid, and Lisa Warner rushed from Iron Heights to avenge Star City. Oliver tried to represent the newly formed girls group, but the Support Coordination Unit intervened. To his surprise, Arrow was arrested, who killed Detective Malan there. At the same time, after Warner tells Lance that she heard she was working with Damien Dark, Lance is responsible for the escape. Extinguish it with fire. Oliver faces the biggest challenge since becoming mayor. Felicity and Helix continue on their dark path. Vigilante attacks attacked Oliver during his tenure as mayor, and Digger leads a team on a mission to stop Vigilante once and for all. Passed away. Oliver is getting closer and closer to the truth about Prometheus. At the same time, Helix refused to continue helping Felicity until she did them a favor. Capazon. Prometheus made no attempt to destroy Oliver. At the same time, Anatoly's memories began to be disturbed by Oliver's increasingly aggressive tendencies, which led to violent confrontation. Resolved. Diggle and Felicity are shocked by Oliver's decision to ask the brothers to help remove Prometheus. Worried that the brothers might cross the line, Diggle and Oliver found it difficult to discuss what would happen if things went wrong. Meanwhile, Felicity has learned some shocking things about Helix. Dangerous situation. Oliver, Team Arrow, Arg Us, and SCPD start chasing Adrian Chase in the city. Helix tells Felicity that they can find Chase, but they have to get something important and illegal from her. The road. When Oliver and Felicity are in the basement together, the situation becomes very tense. At the same time, Lily and Diggle dealt with their military affairs. Honor your heavenly father. Oliver returned to the mayor's office and faced one of the most pressing problems of the moment, the forced release of dozens of violent criminals who were being persecuted by Adrian Chase. At the same time, a box of a mysterious corpse wrapped in concrete was sent to Oliver's office. Lost. The Black Sea Monster returned to help Chase. Felicity hosts Oliver's birthday party and Lance is outraged that Reen missed his daughter's kindergarten session. Lian Yu. The battle between Oliver and Adrian Chase culminated in an epic final battle for Lian Wei. Following recent events, Oliver decides to recruit a group of incredible allies, Slade, Nisha, and Merlin, to defeat Chase. However, Chase has an army of his own, the Black Sea Monster, Evelyn Sharp, and Talia Ghul, and they clash at the end of the season. Boiling point. Barry Allen has always wanted to live, but it is wild animals that live in the exchange of the universe. Contradictions. Barry learns that the effect of lightning is greater than expected. Julian Albertus, when he met a new collaboration that followed the spirit of the Barry-Julian establishment. Magenta. That move ends up with an original and adventurous Jesse for Earth City, and Caitlin Snow uses his powers to save the Earth. New building. Barry Jesse switches through him, along with a new tycoon, a low teacher, and a longtime partner, to twist the hair among Leonard's friends. Curiosity. Caitlin no longer knew what had happened to her and called her mother, a biomedical researcher, to get some answers about the growing power of methods. Same. Western society knows about the Flash, and Barry knows that in order to protect you, he has to tell Westerners what happened to the Flash. Killer limit. Caitlin uses her powers to block, but sends her own killer experience that limits both the brilliance and atmosphere of the fight. Runs out. I come by the rules to fight the city. The Green Archer Barry asks for help. Tomorrow Fire and the top green arrows. Currently, I can't start with the Christmas holidays and the beginning of his relationship with Western Iris, traveling the world. Debt problem in the future. In his tragic vision of torture, Barry learns that everyone will type the name spoiler because they remembered Barry's presence when they saw her. Alive or dead. HR, a gypsy prophecy in the center of town called Vibe with Vibe Power arrived at 7 p.m. to reconstruct the crime. Outcasts. And his STAR bar. The lab team is working on bringing in Clive Yorkin, a methane that makes people fail with acceleration. Attack on Gorilla City. It hurts Jesse that his father has been ousted, with Barry, Caitlin Cisco Ramen, and Julian Harrison taking over Earth 2 on an independent mission to save Gorilla City. To attack the city center. While Gorilla Scratch and Gorilla Army fight on the ground, Flash and Soda search for a way to find an obstacle in front of the city center. Savita is angry. While angry, Barbarian actually has visions of Savita that he is hiding with medication. Meanwhile, a dangerous secret from Barry and Iris threatens their happiness. For wind power, hope stay safe and save friends. Barry's response to the correction. During this HR, something Jesse uses. Bring in. Barry and Sudas wonder if my music is valid when Mon-El and Hank come along with a worn hairband. Abracadabra. Land Flash Battle 19. Abracadabra Town gives their relationship a true identity in the form of a sweater. Flash for the first time, and in the future. A Voyage to the Future slogan is put together with the same hope of finding a construction art, but in 2024, he finds future versions of the Flash from friends that are too scattered. I know who you are. Barry and the team meet Tracy Brand, the scientist who may be the key to stopping Savitar. Unfortunately, after the Tracy killer situation, case and result, Barry's drastic measures measures to prevent Savitar, HR and Tracy instrument mean safety, and Killer Rust returns to its meaning. Children over. With only 24 hours to save Iris from Savitar, Barry decides to use whatever means and helps in return for the cold. Purpose. When he doesn't lose anything, Barry takes on Savitar for the third time in an epic recap. Hurry up. The historian Dr. Nate Haywood seeks out Princess Oliver to help her find the confusing stories of tomorrow. American Judiciary. During their visit to Nazi-occupied Paris, the students were surrounded by them and the American Justice Society, who were reluctant to work with their help. Shogun. Surprised to see that he was in power, Nate found himself with Rapermer in feudal Japan. There, they will defend the village from the general and his samurai warriors. Disapproval. When Legends discovered a physical anomaly in 1863, they fought to survive during the Civil War with Southern Army soldiers turned into zombies. Agreement. As the story unfolded after President Reagan's earthquake at the fortress, they were shocked to see their former enemies. Damien Dahl is currently a general counsel. Illegal countries. On the side of the news that their journey is fast approaching, the Legends are told of an ancient Western anomaly involving their old friend Jonah Hex. Attack War. After learning about the plots of Dominators of the World, the story must work with Flash, Supergirl, and Green Arrow to defeat them all at once. Chicago Way. When the story discovers a new physical anomaly, they travel to Chicago in 1927 and find that it was founded by Eobald Thorne, Damien Ark, and Malcolm Merlin, creator of Lost Art. When Damien and Malcolm try to capture Rip Hunter in 1967, they create a time anomaly. Rip has no memory of the past. Legion of Destiny. Decided to save the neck, the story must first find the Spear of Death. Malcolm and Damien see Thawne playing with each other. Change the dress. When historians saw a new physical anomaly, they traveled in the winter of 1776 to defend George Washington during the American Revolutionary War. Camelot/3000. Legends continue their search for the Spear of Fate, and it is discovered that it has been averted at various times, including the future and the past of King Arthur's Camelot. Missing countries. When captured, the Rip will demand that Wave Rider be destroyed 70 million years ago. Now, Sarah and Jack's Venture Rip are the black information to get it. Weak Shot. The famous spacecraft Captain Steele visited NASA's headquarters in 1970, but you'll notice that there's always a time when the Apollo 13 mission has to destroy pilots in space. Spear of Death. A plan is underway to return the last piece of Lands of Fate, the story of J.R.R. Truquin in France during the First World War. The Right to Learn. After receiving the Spear of Doom, the Doom Army rewrites the truth, develops the story forever, and their only hope is Mick Rory. Aruba. At the exciting end of the season, Legends was forced to break the basic rules of time travel. To destroy the Spear of Death, they must face the final blow. The Adventures of Supergirl. Kara Danvers continues to face new threats with her cousin Superman, and Hank Henswell was also surprised by the Ford that came out last season. Krypton's Last Children. Cadmos is attacking cities across the country with crypto-malicious powers that severely damage Supergirls. Kara also meets a new boss, Snapper Carr. Welcome to Earth. Wonder Woman's Linta cartridges name cities across the country as President Olivia Marsden, who breathed Supergirl and DEO to protect from their environment. Survivors. Supergirl and the commander of the Human Marines reach a special racing partnership through roulette. Meanwhile, Hank is excited to find another crew member at Magan Moors. Crossfire. Supergirl offers a new white gang armed with dangerous foreign technology. When Cadmus sends video to DEO, the team understands what's behind the attack. Change. The Guardians shake hands for the first time after the ectoparasites claim Supergirl's powers. Mon-El thinks less about the new job they want, and Alex Danvers struggles with a new reality. Darkest Place. While the Guardian tries to clear her name, Supergirl begins to rescue Mon-El from CADM and confronts Cyborium Superman. Jellyfish. Cadmus releases a special virus. Kara calls for help from Lena Luthor, while Barry Allen and Cisco Ramon, aka Flash, ask for EIA. Supergirl Life. Kara and Mon-El are transported to the planet by LED Roulette, where certificates are sold as slaves. To make matters worse, Kara and Mon-El are powerless. We can be heroes. After Livewire gets out of jail, Kara and Mon-El pay, but Mon-El turns Supergirl against Hilt. A Ryan Chronicles. When the White Armec came to towns across the country to get a hold of Magan, Supergirl, and Hank, they hid her from DEO, but they didn't. Lecturer. After the metal leaks and Lillian Luthor is released, the police arrest Lena, but Kara refuses to believe her boyfriend is guilty. Sir and Mrs. Mixia Spitlick. When the magical B.R. Miziak Spitlick appears on Earth and declares his love for Kara, his refusal leaves him smelling of destruction. Yield. Alex and Kara happily return to their father, but things change when the suspicious Mon-El suddenly begins to question his father. Departure Crowd. While Alex searches for his father, Kara agrees to interview Snappercar and Supergirl to help them start a new family. Intersection of stars. Terry Hatcher and Kevin Sorbo star as the bad guys coming to National City, while Darren Criss makes his musician Meister debut. Distant Sun. When Supergirl gets a creature, forces from far and wide attack cities across the country to eliminate the Steel Girl. Linda Carter returns as President of the United States. Ace Reporter. When Lena's ex-boyfriend reveals high-tech analytics, Kara decides on her reporting skills. Alex. When Alex is banned, Supergirl and Maggie Sawyer always have different approaches, but they must work together to save her. City of Lost Children. When telecommunications exploiters attack National City, the prisoner is a child who is not afraid to trust us. Meanwhile, the REA plan is expanding. To Resist. Cat returns to the National City. Meanwhile, Supergirl fights over whether to obey the president's instructions about Rhea's latest action. Always Claim. At the end of the season group, Supergirl challenges REA in a battle to save the country town. Meanwhile, Cat Grant offers some tips for Supergirl, Sophiekos, and Superman Returns. It's all the same thing. Thank you for the registration question.